Students, greetings. Let's start reading Lord of the Flies, the new novel by William Golding, or the new novel which was written by William Golding. Daunting was the word we looked at last lesson, which means intimidating. Why would it be daunting for some boys to find themselves on a desert island, crucially without adults? Think about what one needs to do to keep warm, keep fed, and keep from being bullied or bullying others. So look forward to your answers. Today we're going to form first impressions of a character called Ralph and a character called Piggy, the first two boys we meet on the island. You'll remember William Golding, the gentleman who wrote this story, died in the 1990s, having served in World War II in Navy, having attended Marlborough School, having read English at Oxford, having lived in Wiltshire, this pleasant part of England, southern England, for about 50 years, having read Coral Island and Swallow's Lambsons, and wanting to write this dystopian version of these novels, these adventure stories. That was the battleship that he sunk, belonging to the Nazi Germany. He said that intelligent men in the wrong situation can do brutal things. Man has capacity, an innate capacity for brutality if you're away from civilization. I think the quotation at the bottom is the most important. If you don't have laws, you're lost, you're finished, you're gone. This story is an allegory for societal breakdown. So to set the scene, there has been a nuclear bomb, or there's a nuclear war going on. England's at risk of being obliterated, decimated, and boys from various school backgrounds, but predominantly private school backgrounds in Lord of the Flies, all decamp, leave, evacuate England by plane, but they are shot down, and we join the story on the island. We're going to meet Ralph and Piggy. So the task today is to simply find 5 quotations, 5 for Ralph and 5 for Piggy, that give you an impression of them. An impression means what they look like or how they behave. There's a couple here. Ralph has fair hair, and it contrasts with Piggy's plumpness. So that's it, really. Let's just jump into Lord of the Flies. We're going to read a page, and then I'll show you a little summary of the scene, and then I'll leave you with the tasks to get on with. So let's leave PowerPoint and find among these billions of windows I have open the text. So I think, are going to send you the whole story. I was thinking of working with extracts, but there's a contents page that can't really be toyed with, so I can't really add any. I can do those, tell you some of the key words on the first page. A lagoon is a shallow body of water, as I'm sure you know. A scar is a big scorched gash in the island, basically left by the plane that crashed. It smashed into the jungle. In the jungle, you'll see Golding often refers to creepers. Whoops. Creepers are vines that entangle you. Creepers are part of the undergrowth, which means foliage, plants, and so on. The home counties. Now, these are the counties of England that surround London. Kent is one of them. I know Kent's one of them anyway. They're just green, pleasant counties surrounding London. What's another one? Possibly Surrey as well. A windbreaker is a sort of anorak that Piggy wears, and I think that's all the language that is worth knowing before we jump in. So let's have a read. So Lord of the Flies, here we go. Chapter 1, The Sound of the Shell. The boy with the fair hair lowered himself down the last few feet of rock and began to pick his way toward the lagoon. Though he'd taken off his school sweater and trailed it now from one hand, his grey shirt stuck to him, and his hair was plastered to his forehead. All around him the long scarf smashed into the jungles a bath of heat. He was clambering heavily among the creepers and broken trunks when a bird, vision of red and yellow, flashed upwards with a witch-like cry. And this cry was echoed by another. "Hi," it said. "Wait a minute." The undergrowth at the side of the sky was shaken, and a multitude of raindrops fell pattering. "Wait a minute," the voice said. "I got caught up." The fair boy stopped and jerked his stockings with an automatic gesture that made the jungle seem for a moment like the home counties. The voice spoke again. "I can't hardly move with these creeper things." The owner of the voice came backing out of the undergrowth so that twigs scratched on a greasy windbreaker. The naked crooks of his knees were plump, caught and scratched by thorns. He bent down, removed the thorns carefully, and turned around. He was shorter than the fair boy and very fat. He came forward, searching out safe lodgments for his feet, and then looked up through thick spectacles. "Where's the man with the megaphone?" The fair boy shook his head. "This is an island. At least I think it's an island. That's a reef out in the sea. Perhaps there aren't any grown-ups anywhere." The fat boy looked startled. "There was that pilot. But he wasn't in the passenger cabin. He was up in front." The fair boy was peering at the reef through screwed-up eyes. "Oh, them other kids," the fat boy went on. "Some of them must have got out. They must have, mustn't they?" The fair boy began to pick his way as casually as possible toward the water. He tried to be offhand and not too obviously uninterested, but the fat boy hurried after him. "Aren't any grown-ups at all?" "I don't think so." The fair boy said this solemnly, but then the delight of a realized ambition overcame him. In the middle of the sky, he stood on his head and grinned at the reversed fat boy. "No grown-ups." The fat boy thought for a moment. "That pilot." The fair boy allowed his feet to come down and sat on the steamy earth. "He must have flown off after he dropped us. He couldn't land here. Not in a plane with wheels." "We was attacked." "He'll be back all right." The fat boy shook his head. When we was coming down, I looked through one of them windows. I saw the other part of the plane. There were flames coming out of it." He looked up and down the scar. "And this is what the cabin done." So, guys, we're going to stop there so I can leave you with the task. Find 5 quotations that give you an impression of Ralph, 5 quotations that give you an impression of Piggy. I made a brief summary of that opening page and perhaps a few words more, which I can just talk over actually. I've just bolted them onto the PowerPoint because I've used a couple of images from the films, and there's a slight risk that it'll be copyrighted to hell, but here we go. Creepers, undergrowth. You'll soon see very quick. There it is. The American. Ralph's enjoying himself. And then the next scene, Ralph up. And that's exactly enjoying himself. Thinking, I'm enjoying the liberation. So, using the first page of chapter 1, find 5 quotations that give you an impression of Ralph and Piggy and put them in a list like so. See you next time.